From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at Noon, streaming now.
And thanks for joining us here on the News at Noon. I'm Lauren Casey, and Todd Clausen is standing by from his home this midday with a check of our Friday forecast. And Todd, we're looking ahead to the weekend. What can people expect?
You know, it's pretty quiet today and tomorrow. A little on the chilly side, Lauren, and it starts on Sunday to get a little more questionable as far as your weather pattern goes if you are making those weekend plans. Let's talk about this afternoon first. It's chilly. Despite the bright skies, temperatures are only sitting right around 30 degrees in Indianapolis. It's 32 in Bloomington. 27 is the current temperature as you make your way up into the Lafayette area. But the good news is, as we mentioned, plenty of sunshine, just a few fair weather clouds out there at this noon hour. And that's the way it's going to be here throughout the remainder of the day. That is the good news. Unfortunately, there's not going to be much more in the way of any warming that's going to take place. Temperatures are in the 30s, as we mentioned, or right around 30 degrees. But when you factor in the wind, you can take about 10 to even 15 degrees off those numbers, and you see where we are in the teens and 20s. A little bit of lake effect snow there in far northeast Indiana. That will not impact us here across central Indiana if you're looking at a radar on your phone at some point throughout the day. Just plenty of sunshine for us. Temperatures holding pretty steady. It gets cold real quick this evening. We'll talk more about that weekend forecast for you in just a few minutes. Lauren.
Aaron waiting, the outfield deep and straight away. Fastball is a high drive into deep left center field. Buckner goes back to the fence. It is gone. Marvelous moment for baseball. What a marvelous moment for Atlanta and the state of Georgia. What a marvelous moment for the country and the world. A black man is getting a standing ovation in the Deep South for breaking a record of an all-time baseball idol.
Well, it's still one of the most famous moments in sports history and American history. Hank Aaron breaking baseball's all-time home run record in 1974. Aaron made history in many ways, though, in his career and his life, battling through racism throughout his time in baseball, including death threats when he was on the verge of breaking Babe Ruth's record. Now, before he made it to the big leagues, Aaron also briefly played right here for the Indianapolis Clowns in 1952. He was the last player to make the major leagues after playing for a team in the old Negro Leagues. The Atlanta Braves organization announced that Hank Aaron died this morning. He was 86 years old, and he will be missed. Metro Police, they're still looking for a suspect who crashed their car into this West Side gun store and then took off with some of the firearms. This happened just before 3 o'clock this morning at 500 Guns near 16th Street and Tibbs Avenue. Police say the car that crashed into the store did not have any license plates on it. Video cameras inside the store captured images of the suspect who got away with an unknown number of weapons. As of now, a suspect is not in custody. And then police on the city's southwest side are still investigating an overnight hit and run that left one person dead. It all happened around 12:30 this morning along Kentucky Avenue near Maywood Road. Police say that they got a call saying that a body was lying alongside Kentucky Avenue. Investigators believe the person was hit by a vehicle, and they do have some leads in that case. The state's new COVID-19 numbers continue to show new cases and deaths holding fairly steady, even as more Hoosiers are getting vaccinated. More than 3,500 new cases were reported by the state health department today. New case numbers have held steady for most of the week. 49 additional deaths were also reported. More than 9,200 Hoosiers have now died with the virus since the pandemic began. Hoosiers across the state have been impacted by this pandemic in one way or another. And, you know, we share this data every day as we get those numbers in, but we know that there are faces and there are names behind those numbers. The Vanetti family lost 2 family members to COVID-19 within 24 hours of each other. As they start the grieving process, they want other Hoosiers to mask up and do their part to slow the spread. They also want the memories of their loved ones to live on, even though their lives were cut short.
It was a roller coaster ride until the very end. It was really hard losing 2 of the people that was the pillars of our family.
If you lost a loved one to COVID-19 and you want to share your story with us, you can contact us at facesofcovid@WRTV.com. Let's head over to the State House now, where there was not a whole lot of activity this week, but there was some news about a coronavirus vaccine and why the supply here in Indiana is all of a sudden drying up. Our own Ray Steele takes a closer look in today's State House Roundup.
The State House was closed for 2 days this week. It means lawmakers were locked out of their work. The reason? The expected pro-Donald Trump protests surrounding Joe Biden's inauguration, protests that never materialized. So since it was a virtual vacation for the legislature and we'd really like to put on our mittens on this cold day, State House Roundup won't take up much of your time.
Okay, here we go. The short version.
This week, Governor Holcomb gave his State of the State speech, but the bigger news came from his weekly coronavirus briefing. Indiana is having to slow down its rollout of the COVID vaccine. You may recall the words of former Eli Lilly executive and then Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar.
Every vaccine dose that is sitting in a warehouse rather than going into an arm could mean one more life lost.
Just one problem. There was no surplus of doses in warehouses, as the former Trump administration falsely claimed.
Our vaccine allocations have not increased beyond the roughly 78 to 80,000 doses we were already expecting each week.
The new Biden administration has already proposed a boost in spending to help end the state's vilification of vaccine distribution by the feds. As for what the General Assembly could do to help, apparently not much if there are no shots to give out. So instead of watching the state capitol, you'll need to watch Washington to see if or when that big new stimulus bill injects new life into the logistics of this life-saving liquid. Working for you with State House Roundup, Ray Steele, WRTV.
Ray, thank you. So which senator represents their political party most accurately right now? Next, our political insiders take a look at the vastly different tone being struck by two Indiana Republicans on Capitol Hill. Todd.
And Lauren, the sun is shining here all across central Indiana, and that's the way it's going to remain for the day today. As we go into the weekend, though, things will start to change a little bit. There's a storm system off to our west, bringing some snow you see there into Nebraska. That is heading our way. We'll have the timeline and let you know what kind of precipitation we're expecting coming up when the News at Noon continues right here on WRTV.
Sunday morning at 11:30.
Welcome back. This week, a new president was inaugurated 2 weeks after deadly riots in the nation's capital. But Indiana's Republican senators seem to be on different pages when it comes to the tone they want to set as we move forward. So we asked our political insiders which message they thought would resonate more with Hoosiers.
You would think that Todd Young, who's actually up for re-election in 2022, would be more partisan, so to speak, and Mike Braun, who's got still 4 years left to go, would be less partisan. Like I said, it's an interesting dynamic. I've known Todd Young for years, and although Todd is a Republican, he's a loyal Republican. At the end of the day, he will still do the right thing, which was not to vote to derail the election, and also to introduce a fellow Hoosier, Pete Buttigieg. What I thought was interesting, though, I want to say that Senator Braun, and Jamar, you correct me if I'm wrong, voted against the Director of National Intelligence, which I thought was interesting because he was only a handful of senators who did that. That kind of surprised me a bit.
I don't think that Senator Braun got the memo that the Trump era is over. He hopefully he saw that Trump got on the helicopter, waved him off, and did a salute and left. And the era of drama in the White House and Washington were done. And there's a sense of relief that swept over the country on Wednesday by many people on both sides of the aisle that we can get back to civility. Now, yes, with energy, there may be some conservative conversations about energy sources and jobs tied to those sources and what Pete Buttigieg may do. But I think Senator Young is doing the right thing and bringing civility back to the conversation. Well, I'm glad that the governor and the legislature took extra precautions. Those threats were real. There were many organizations, political organizations, that shared news about very direct threats that were posed against them. So I'm glad that we kept our leaders safe and our people safe, and now we can get back to work.
I do think the governor and state police erred on the side of caution because, number one, if they had gone through with session and someone then folks did show up and someone had gotten hurt, then it would have been, well, why'd you guys hold session? You should have known this was going to happen. So I think they erred on the side of caution. And the other thing, too, I think is also interesting is it was only 2 days worth of work that was missed. to be honest with you, because Monday was Martin Luther King Day. They don't meet on Fridays and Thursdays, and they're still early enough in the session, so they technically only missed 2 days, and there's still plenty of time to make up for the work that they missed.
Our thanks to the political insiders. So they want to know why them. Next, a restaurant repeatedly targeted by vandals and how the owner is working to find out why someone would want to hurt their business. And let's take a live look outside from our tower camera here overlooking the Circle City on this Friday. You can see those sunny, clear skies up ahead as we head into the weekend. Todd Clausen will have a look at our forecast coming right up here on the news at noon. Stick around.
Right now.
Welcome back. So a restaurant in Hancock County has been vandalized not once but twice since opening their doors in 2019. Our own Kelsey Anderson spoke to the owner who's trying to figure out who would want to hurt his business.
Boarded up for the second time since opening here on Main Street in Fortville. The windows busted the first time on January 2nd, 2020, and again this week on the 20th. Tim Brunig owns Bonsai Fortville. This is the scene he saw at his restaurant on Wednesday morning. But this isn't the first time he dealt with someone targeting his business. He tells me on January 2nd, 2020, 2 people were seen throwing rocks in his storefront. Fortville police releasing this video then. I spoke with Officer Graffiti with the Fortville Police Department, and she says this week's incident is an open investigation. And as of yesterday morning, she didn't have anything she could share with me. And they don't know if the 2 incidents are connected as of right now. As for Bruning, he says he doesn't know why his business was hit again, but he's doing his best to keep his and his staff's spirits up.
Yeah, I was joking with the staff. I have some Bear fans coming in here. I was thinking maybe it's Bear fans. They know I'm a Packer fan, and they're upset about the Packers being in the playoffs. I don't know, but yeah. I really don't know. A lot of people speculate it could be, you know, certain people. But yeah, I don't know what it is, to tell you the truth. So it's, I know it's disheartening. I know that.
Bruning is thankful this time he has double-paned windows, so the damage was only done to the outside of the building, and they are able to remain open. If you have any information on this act of vandalism, the Fortville police want to hear from you. Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Kelsey, thank you. We do want to take a turn right now to our forecast as we head into the weekend. Todd, we did look outside just a few moments ago. It was a beautiful sunny day, so what can people expect if they want to maybe get out and get a little brisk walk in during lunch?
You know, if you want to get out to get a walk in or do whatever you want, Lauren, you're going to be just fine. You're just going to have to bundle up a little bit, and things aren't really going to change a whole lot, whether it's right here after the noon show or if it's 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Things are going to stay pretty steady from this point forward throughout the day. Here's a view in Greencastle, and you can see just a few fair weather clouds, and that is just it as you look off to the west. So we have the sunshine, but with that sunshine, here are those temperatures. 30 in Indy as well as Muncie, 25 in Kokomo. 32 in Shelbyville. Our highs actually already occurred throughout the day today. They were just shortly after midnight. So what you see here are your afternoon temperatures that we are expecting. About 27 in Logansport, Marion, 29 in Anderson. Should get up another degree or 2 in Martinsville as well as Shelbyville to 32 degrees. And then in southern locations, we're looking at temperatures that are going to be topping off right around 34 to 35, which is seasonable for this time of year. There's a little bit of a breeze out there that's putting wind chill values in the teens and 20s. So that's why I mentioned you need to bundle up if you're going to be out and about. There's some light snow falling across parts of northeast Indiana. That's all lake effect snow. And the winds are not going to change direction, so that should not impact us here in central Indiana. But this is a developing storm system off to our west, and that is going to head our way as we work our way into the second half of the weekend. It's Friday night. If you have plans, bundle up. Temperatures quickly fall back down into the 20s under a clear sky. And as you wake up to start your Saturday morning off, everybody's in the teens. Wind chills will be in the single digits. A very, very cold start to our day tomorrow. But throughout the day tomorrow, we'll have the sunshine. It'll be bright, and we'll get back up to the freezing mark later on in the afternoon. So it's a pretty quiet day for us on Saturday. Let's jump ahead here to Sunday afternoon. There's 2 waves of precipitation coming in. The first wave on Sunday is the weaker of the 2, but look for a little bit of a wintry mix with the potential for some freezing rain Sunday morning into Sunday afternoon, and then we get a bit of a break And then Monday morning, in time for your Monday morning commute, another wave of moisture comes in. And this one could have a little longer, prolonged period of freezing rain from Indianapolis to the south, and then it's a wintry mix to the north. And that's something we'll have to keep an eye on. It goes eventually over to all rain and then eventually ends as some snow. So it's going to be a very active day of weather on Monday with almost all precipitation types a possibility, at least across parts of central Indiana. I think what you need to know at this point is your Monday morning commute is probably potentially going to be the slickest, so make sure you stay with WRTV. Not only tonight, Kevin will have an update. Of course, Kyle Mounts will have an update throughout the course of the weekend. Once we get past Monday, Lauren, pretty quiet weather pattern for the middle of next week.
Todd, thank you. So Hiring Hoosiers is connecting you to job openings and career paths that you may not come across in your job search. Central Indiana social workers say there's a serious need for more black men in their field. Our own Cameron Riddle shows you how they're working to recruit people and support kids and families through the impacts of this pandemic.
As the calendar inches closer to the one-year anniversary of the coronavirus pandemic, the long and short-term effects of sickness and unemployment are taking a toll on people across the nation, and black men have been more likely than most to feel those effects.
The pandemic has killed so many people of color. People have lost houses, they've lost income, and so the social worker as a whole, that I believe that there's a great need for them.
David Brown is a behavioral therapist. He says his fellow members of the Central Indiana Association of Black Social Workers say there is a large shortage and a heavy demand for black men in their industry, a job that is notorious for its low wages and stigmas that paint the social worker as the bad guy.
Thinking that the social worker is going to be the snitch, is going to be the one that goes in the house and remove the kids.
Brown says the industry of social work is dominated by white women, with a lesser number of black males who can relate to the people they are trying to serve.
It's one thing to read about being an African-American man, but it's another thing to have been experienced to some of the challenges and some of the biases and some of the the racism of it.
In an effort to add to the industry's talent pool, Brown and his colleagues from the Black Social Workers Association are hosting a virtual informational session this Saturday, where they hope to inspire more black men to get involved and make a difference.
If we're not at the table, if we're not included in the planning, how can you plan something for me as an African-American man, but there's no representation?
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
Cameron, thank you. The Central Indiana Black Social Workers Association will host its virtual information session tomorrow afternoon at 2:30. We have a link to sign up for that session on WRTV.com. Well, they got their vaccine and now a nursing home is celebrating. We'll show you that celebration coming up next and another check of your forecast. Stay with us.
50, 54.
Welcome back. So here's a familiar sign of hope, a rainbow, and one made of balloons stretched across the halls this week of Woodland Terrace of New Palestine as residents there rolled up their sleeves to receive the Moderna vaccine. The nursing home posted to Facebook that more than 90 of their residents received their vaccines against the coronavirus. To celebrate, their life enrichment team decorated the halls where the residents waited to get vaccinated. They also held up signs with the reason why they got their vaccines, Todd. And for anyone who's looking on Facebook, they had some pretty cute responses as to why they got their shots today. So happy for them. And we don't have any rainbows outside right now because things have been pretty dry overall.
Yeah, we haven't had a whole lot in the way of moisture. We had those snow showers last weekend, and the middle of the week's been pretty quiet. Today's quiet, and tomorrow's quiet with sunshine, but chilly. Very cold tomorrow morning into the teens. Sunday, a light wintry mix develops. The bigger issue, I think, is on Monday because the precipitation will be longer in duration, and it'll be heavier, especially Monday morning. There could be some freezing rain around, and then quiet Tuesday into the middle of next week.
All right. Thank you, Todd, and thank you for joining us and making WRTV your choice for news. Have a great weekend.